Hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome to the 150th episode of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason. Tonight, joined by Jody.
Hello.
Hello. And Mondo.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, how we all doing?
Good. 150 episodes is about 140 more than I expected us to make. So
Pretty much. And that's not
Hold on a second. Hold on. Let's unpack this for a second. You only expected us to do 10 episodes and give up?
Hey, listen, Joe and I have a podcast, and I think we're on episode 7, and we're 2 years in. So, sometimes slow and steady is how you get there. But
I made a PowerPoint. We were in this for the long run.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I lost my train of thought on that one, but the 150 also does not include interviews. So
Right.
if you did full, how many things we have on Spotify or Anchor or whatever, we're well over 200. So yeah, it's 3. And also we'll talk about it in a minute, but it's also today they were recording is our 3-year anniversary. So it's all kind of craziness coming all out of us.
Circle.
Which I thought was really nice round way to do that. And for those keeping track at home, my twins just turned 10 years old. So,
And I think I told you my nephew just had his first baby on your twin's birthday yesterday.
oh really?
Yeah, after
awesome.
jiu-jitsu, I got the text from my sister and then he texted me and sent me pictures of the baby. So I'm a great uncle now.
Oof.
My nephew having babies.
And Jody, one of your kids just had a birthday, didn't they?
Yeah. My second just turned 16 about a week or so ago. So, yeah.
Is he working on his
June's a good
license?
month for babies, I guess. June, July.
I mean, yeah, you got to think about that, right? Like October, weather's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an October baby, so.
Oh, that means.
Yeah, I was a Christmas present. That's what I was.
Your parents
Or New Year's.
parents were in the throes of winter, just trying to snuggle for bodily warmth. One thing led to another.
Thank you for all of that.
You want me to get more graphic? Because we
Nope. That's good. We're good.
My daughter was born almost 9 months after my birthday. I'll put it that way.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
So Jody, you mentioned your other podcast. Why don't you do a shout out for them, especially with your Chattanooga coverage?
Oh yeah. So Joe and I have a podcast called No Film Left Behind, where we talk about weird movies. And I just recorded an episode with him for Films at First Sight, his other podcast, where we were talking about weird movies at Chattanooga Film Fest specifically. So yeah, it's like a secret bonus episode of No Film Left Behind, because again, we have 7 in the last 2 years. So, you might as well take what you can get. Catch us when we talk about other things.
I didn't get to catch a ton from Chattanooga, but I caught one movie I just really didn't like, but everything else was solid to Off-Ramp, which was amazing.
Yeah, I think there was one I didn't like this year too, but I don't like to shit on movies, so I'll just talk about stuff that I like. Off-Ramp is awesome. A movie about juggalos on a road trip.
Yes.
Incredible. It's such a good movie.
Insane Clown Posse, Juggalos.
Yeah, those juggalos.
But it's
nice.
I didn't expect it to be when Jody said, "Hey, you should watch this." I didn't expect it to be as I guess heartwarming.
Heartwarming juggalo movie that involves cutting a baby out of someone's stomach at a certain point.
Spoilers.
Hey, I'm just saying. There's blood and weirdness and sex and drugs, and it makes you feel good and alive at the end of it.
For a moment, I was thinking about the Brokeback Mountain of Juggalo movies. They're tenderly putting each other's makeup on.
Well, they bring up that one of the characters is trans, but they don't make it. They're it's just a part of their character. It's not the character. They don't, and you don't even find out till about 3/4 through the film.
Yeah,
and it's just really, really well done the way they handle it and the way it's the way it should be done in movies. So I thought that was fantastic. And even the movie I didn't like, and I forgot the name of it. It had some good stuff. I think they just dragged out what could have been a shorter film into a longer film, and that was my main issue with it. But it's rare I'll watch a movie at Chattanooga Film Fest that I don't like, that I won't find something to grasp onto, or man, I didn't love that, but I'm really excited to see what that director does next, that writer does next once they're a little bit more seasoned, which is a common thing, which is okay. That's what it's there for.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody who listens to our podcast and is okay with the fact that we're, 1 star too woke, Chattanooga Film Fest is like one of the most inclusive, like accepting film fest I have ever heard of. It takes all kinds, whether it's juggalos or young men in the closet in the South. Movies about all kinds of people, and I love it. That's one of the things I love about it.
And the short film blocks are just
and also blood and guts and silliness and mayhem and Faster Pussycat Kill, like, just fun stuff mixed in with all of it.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to go next year, but I had a wedding to attend.
Yeah, tell all your friends right now, don't get married in June.
I was thinking, like, I don't think I have another friend that plans on getting married anytime soon. Like, and the guy that got married is like a brother to me. Like, him and his brother, we all had really rough lives growing up, and still to see, like, we're standing around, and I gave one of the wedding speeches, and I'm just gonna say I knocked that out of the park. I think I did. I was pretty drunk at this point, so I think I knocked it out of the park. I did keep it PG because her parents, he's a pastor in Hawaii, and his wife is Japanese, and they're like the most adorable couple. They're just the sweetest couple. So I kept it PG, but I brought up, like, man, did you ever think when we were in high school that the three of us would be standing here wearing suits, all married, all with kids, all doing okay in life? And it's so yeah, I couldn't miss this one. There are some friends out there that, and you guys know who you are. No, they don't know who you are because they're not going to listen because they suck. If they got married out of state, I'm not going. But I'd have done anything to make this wedding.
I did see the pictures. You looked very handsome, Mondo.
Thank you.
Let's say you shared some pictures, and the pictures showed, that it was worth missing CFF for this time, one time.
Man, many tears of happiness were shed that day. And my buddy sent me a picture when he's walking down the aisle. He patted my shoulder, and he goes, "I love this picture because I saw you're about to break, and this put you over the top." And I said, "Fuck you! I was already sobbing. You just missed it."
Well, see, that's how, as adults, we pick on each other. It's not, we constantly are mean to each other. We just wait till a moment of vulnerability and exploit it in a good way.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of tears of happiness were shed. Yeah, that's never a bad thing.
All right. Well, I have an announcement to make. Last August, I was invited to record a visit to the home studio of artist Mike Vosberg. For those that don't know the name, you know his work if you listen to this show. He's the comic book artist who drew all of the covers you see at the intro of every Tales From The Crypt episode that the Crypt Keeper opens up in the book. So I got to go to his house and do a whole interview and a tour of his private collection, and he showed me how he makes the covers, and we just talked about life and art and everything. And I have spent the last 9 months figuring out how to edit footage into a documentary. And I think a few days before this comes out, it should be up on YouTube. A trailer I made for it, not the whole project. Not giving it away yet.
The other day, you referred to yourself as a documentarian, and I was thinking, okay, that's a little bit of a stretch for a podcast host, but I'll take it.
I say that in jest.
I'm
just like in Adobe, messing around trying to figure things out.
Hey, that's awesome, though, man. That's again, that's like the perfect. You wanted to do something and you fucking did it. Like that's badass. That doesn't matter how it turns out. I'm proud of you. I don't say that facetiously or in jest. That's pretty awesome.
How many careers and hobbies have been started because somebody said, "I'm going to open up this Adobe product and figure it out"? Because that's what I did with Photoshop.
Look at the Hi-Fi who makes our intro music from Eric from Blood Good Horror. One day decided he was going to dabble with making some electronic sounds, and now he makes killer dark wave synth records.
Yeah,
creativity for all.
Yes.
And that's a big theme of the whole thing is creativity and kind of how you generate that. Because it's interesting because he has no formal training in comic in art at all, really. He just kind of like started, a little bit. He was into comics as a kid. He started making his own and just kept working on it until he decided that's what I want to do.
Man, I love awesome. That. I love that.
It's a lot more complicated than that, but So I'm sure everyone at home is asking, when can we watch this? How can we see it? I don't know yet. I would love to put together a screening. It's some things I'm working on. I'd love to have it at a film festival. Maybe it's about an hour long, so maybe a short film festival of some sort. If anyone has any connections or suggestions, you know how to reach out to us.
We know
I
a
got
guy.
a few.
I know we know a few, but I don't want to presume.
Somehow Jason will get this entered into the Chattanooga Film Festival and still won't invite us to come watch it.
I refuse to go to Tennessee.
We do have snakes and spiders.
Man, so at this wedding too, and this person will never hear this, one of my friends, really good friends growing up, had turned very right wing and is into guns and all that. So all he wanted to do is talk about guns and whiskey. And but he lives in Tennessee now. And I was like, these are the people that Jody has to deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah. This is what I deal with going to freaking Walmart to people in front of me in line.
And for the record, we didn't talk politics, so we got along just great. It was fantastic. We got along just great.
That is how I survive in this area. There's whole lot of, hey, I know what you think about things. Let's never mention it.
So there's a bar in Idaho by where we were staying at in Eagle, because that's where the wedding venue was, and the bar was celebrating Straight Pride Month last month. Because I guess they made national news for this. They also do on Tuesdays, I was informed, anti-vaxxer speed dating.
Well, maybe that won't last long.
Yeah, it's the interesting part, because the first night 100 people showed up. By week 3, there's 30. I'm just saying, guys, it's not woke. There's nothing wrong with thinking that people should be able to exist and live how they want to live.
Yeah.
Just being a human.
All right, let's get to tonight's big event. Not only is this our sesquicentennial episode, as I said earlier, we're also recording on our 3rd anniversary. Yes, I did Google that, Mondo.
Yeah, I saw you looking at I saw you definitely looking at your computer screen and you pronounced that word.
Additionally, a few weeks ago, it was the 35th anniversary of when Tales from the Crypt first premiered. So to celebrate all of these things, we're going to do our very first re-review of not 1, not 2, but all 3 episodes that premiered on June 10th, 1989. Jody, you ready for this?
So you do know what the traditional 3rd anniversary gift is, right?
Not on my head.
It's leather. So I'll expect my chaps in the mail at some point. Just
somehow that fits. Yeah,
it would
fit nice. That's the only dad's account.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're covering all 3 of these tonight, we're going to keep these synopses short and sweet, because if you want a more detailed one, just go back to the beginning. We've already talked about these things. You can get your detailed synopsis there.
But we've been doing this for 3 years, and I feel like we were probably a little bit better with our review skills. Sure. Maybe not.
I still feel just as dumb today as I did 3 years ago.
Hey, I 3 years ago, I had well typed out synopses that I walked through, and I made all kinds of notes, and boy, I don't know where any of those are now. I hadn't made one in a while.
Wikipedia.
We've been a lot more winging it over the last 3 years. But yeah, let's jump in here. So what's our first one? I want to make sure I do it in the right order.
The at least accepted order on the DVDs is Man Who Is Death first, All Through the House second, and then Dig That Cat. Okay. So that's the order we did our initial reviews in as well. So let's stick to that.
Okay. So Man Who Was Death. We start off with William Sadler as an executioner who really just loves his job. He is a man who has found his calling in life, and it makes him happy to kill people. He also really likes electricity because it kills people. And so when his state decides to ban the death penalty and he can no longer kill the guilty in a sanctioned way, he goes and does his own thing and takes out various murderers, and various bad guys by electrocuting them, by wiring their gates to shock them, by wiring their go-go cage. That one falls apart in the end, but a death by hot tub and electricity. Good fun, good shocking fun, and eventually he gets caught just in time for the death penalty to be reinstated for his area and for him to be the one in the chair. How's that? Short and sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. It's good.
Okay.
That was a good synopsis.
You want details? Go back and listen to other ones, or just watch the episode.
Yeah.
Damn, we're getting snarky here at 150 episodes.
No.
He's like, you want more? Tough luck. We already did that.
He's practicing some withholding techniques. All right, Mondo, what do you think?
This is still like watching it again. I enjoyed it even more this time, and especially William Sadler's kind of. I don't want to say it was an over the top performance, but he's having a good time.
Yeah,
he's hamming it up a little bit. He's playing his character. He's jovial as the killer. I love that. At first he starts with just killing bad people. And then he's like just killing people for the most minor of like if you jaywalk in front of him, you might die.
Mm-hmm.
Which the last I checked, and even Texas doesn't allow the death penalty for jaywalking, which is kind of, which I'm surprised they don't because it's fucking Texas. But yeah, big fan of this one. It's a real great place for anyone who maybe has heard, maybe someone maybe jumped into our podcast towards the end of Tales from the Crypt or when we were doing Black Mirror or whichever we were doing. It's a really good episode. It's like the perfect intro episode of Tales from the Crypt. And the other thing I do kind of find interesting is that this episode is also, after watching 7 seasons, was more mean-spirited than a lot of the newer stuff. And all 3 episodes were. I think Dig That Cat is when they hit that spot of kind of figuring out the formula. But there are little hints of kind of campiness on this, but for the most part, it's kind of mean-spirited, and it feels very different from the rest of the series in a positive way. That it kind of just set the stage for what was to come. And big fan of this, and god dang it, William Sadler's awesome.
Yeah, watching this again, I was like, man, I didn't realize how much I was missing Tales from the Crypt in my life. I was like,
me too.
It's just like all kind of came flooding back. I'm like, oh, okay. It kind of wiped away, a lot of the season 7, I think, hangover we had, and it was just like a warm bath. It just kind of was so nice and refreshing. And again, and now that, before this, we were like, oh yeah, William Sadler, he's great and all, but now that we've like talked to him on multiple occasions and everything, it's just like gives a whole extra level of awesomeness. And he's just such a great performance in this. He's got that little bit of Southern drawl, but not over the top. I think this one really hits the sweet spot between a little bit of the camp in Dig That Cat and kind of the more intense moments in All Through the House. I think it's the perfect balance between the two. Walter Hill directs the hell out of it. I just love Niles Tabbott's monologues, especially that one in front of the city, in front of the highway, that just kind of like pans over. That's the kind of stuff I love. It's just so good. And really sets the tone for the whole series. Great twist at the end. A twist that on any real examination is really laughable that they like reverse it and reinstate the death penalty that quickly, but it just fits with the show.
Creative liberty, like it's a 25-minute show. They're not gonna do a 2-hour Law and Order episode on the reinstatement of the death penalty.
Where William
they could have said like 6 months later or something. It was just funny every time I watched that bit, but who cares? It's fine.
They're not going to have him sit on death row for 10 years while he waits through the appeals process. That's no fun, This is a world of instant death, if both legally and illegally. I really liked it because, like Mondo was saying, it's meaner than some of the later episodes. But especially after meeting William Sadler, he's just like the kindest man. So it's really cool, like seeing him play this role, because I know it's him playing a role. He is not, this tough, hard guy. And so I really enjoyed just getting back in Tales again. It's fun though, seeing now that we've watched all of them, like the Crypt Keeper. is a very subdued Crypt Keeper in these episodes. Like in these first three, it's like John Cassier hadn't quite got where he was really able to play with it.
There's a possibility. I don't remember, and Jason, you might know. Did they kind of handcuff him a little bit on what he could do with the Crypt Keeper?
Well, yeah, the reason for a lot of that is that they were still trying to figure out the animatronics of the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
They can only go so fast with the original puppet.
Gotcha.
And then they rebuilt it between seasons 1 and 2. So I don't know if he wanted to go faster, but he couldn't go faster.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely a little bit. It's got the cadence is definitely different than
his laugh. He's got a sinister laugh as opposed to his cackle.
Exactly.
Right.
But still, he's still having fun.
Yeah, I mean, you still get his little Crypt Keeper feet sticking out there in some of these episodes.
I just watched New Nightmare again because I love that movie, and how Freddy now halfway through the movie dons a trench coat and the hat. And so I just want a subset of him at Men's Warehouse, like trying on trench coats. Like, you think this is fine? Okay. And then as he's leaving, he sees a hat on the rack and he's like, oh shit, can I try that hat on? Then tries the new hat on. But I also want at the same time the Crypt Keeper to be shopping at Men's Warehouse or shopping for costume props. And to this day, I think that's money. We need to get John Cassier on this. Just a Crypt Keeper going shopping for costume stuff, like just thrifting.
Like, you have a old football jersey and something a town crier would wear?
No, I'm an adult, so I got rid of my football stuff because I don't like hanging on to past glory. that was Jason's eyeball was at his eyeball at me was that he definitely still has his football stuff.
I have my Letterman jacket. I think that's probably it.
Oh, that's cool.
I spent too much money on that thing.
That's cool. I let a female friend in high school borrow my Letterman's jacket, and I never saw it again.
Ooh, oh, that sucks. Those things are not cheap.
Oh, I know. I was pretty mad, but I also hate confrontation, so
right.
That's kind of how it went.
All right, you don't even know that might be her prized possession these days. Now that she knows you have a podcast,
man, I hope not.
It shows up on eBay. That's the crypto jacket.
I win the bid for $8. Like,
all right, Jody, next.
All Through the House, our second episode of this first batch. Robert Zemeckis directed. I want to start talking about it. Let's go on synopsis first. I have to slow myself down. So in this one, a woman kills her husband by smacking him in the head with a fire poker very early on in the episode. Then she is spending the rest of the episode trying to both keep her daughter from finding out about the murder and to hide the body in the well. But in the meantime, a local asylum has lost one of its craziest members, and he is dressed up as Santa Claus, roaming around with an axe, murdering various people. And he eventually makes his way to this house, and she decides to try to frame him for the murder as he is trying to kill her throughout the entire thing, trying to get in the house. There's some cat and mouse stuff where he is like outside and she's outside trying to get through the door. Doors close and she gets locked out. But in the end, as he's trying to get in, her young daughter is so excited that Santa Claus is coming that she just lets him in the front door. And the mother screams and screams and screams. And I don't think I appreciated what a great scream she had until watching this episode again. But man, those screams at the end are just pitch perfect Scream Queen stuff. So good.
Yeah.
Armando.
Yeah, she did a great job of going back and forth between being the damsel in distress to also being the conniving femme fatale.
Yeah.
I love the way that she's calling I can't think of the word I want to use, but how she can't call the police. She'll call the police, then she realizes, oh wait, if they come, they're gonna find my husband's dead body that I haven't figured out yet how I'm gonna explain that. And then Larry Drake is just Larry Drake's the fucking man. Like, he has such a recognizable face and such a good villain face. I could talk about it for days, and just the way he sneers and the prosthetics he's wearing at the teeth are just top fucking notch. And you give me a killer Santa Claus, be it, what's his name, Hooper from Stranger Things in Violent Night, to whatever, Silent Night, Deadly Night. I just kind of love that. I kind of love that trope. My only question on this is, where did he get the outfit? Did he kill someone and take the outfit, or did they just let him dress up as Santa Claus at the asylum?
I'm assuming he took it at some point.
Because I'd like to think he was the asylum's Santa Claus.
Right.
And use that way to escape. And the other kind of interesting thing on this I never really picked up before is he doesn't threaten the daughter at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like he's trying to punish the naughty, is what it felt like. And I thought that was kind of cool. And the very beginning too, last thing, that poker kill and between the eyes was way cooler than I remember.
Yeah.
One thing we have to mention too.
I love a good Killer Santa movie. And this is again another Robert Zemeckis episode that's just really well shot, really well paced. The wife I felt is a little over the top in some of it, but again that's kind of in keeping with Tales from the Crypt tradition.
Yeah.
I would say it's not my favorite of the three, at least compared. It's still a great episode. It's a great episode of Tales from the Crypt, blows away many others. But it's more if anything, my only criticism is that I want another half an hour or plus to like make it to fill out everything, like what happens next, how do they get away, all those things.
Yeah.
So it feels a little incomplete. And that's just me being just my criticism, trying to find a criticism in it, because it's a very, very good episode. And anytime you say I want more of this story, that's a good thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's only that's what the format allows. And it's a perfect Christmas Eve watch. I've watched it many nights on Christmas. That and even the original Tales from the Crypt movie, the 70s Amicus one. They're both very, very good. I give the main character, I'm blanking her name, in the movie version the edge, but Larry Drake definitely gets the win there.
Yeah, no, this is the episode that reminded me how bad we need like an official Blu-ray release of this show, in HD. Because one thing that changed from the first time we watched this is we discovered our friends at CryptTube, who is upscaling all these episodes in 4K for us, and it's available on YouTube. You can look it up. There's no official way to watch these things, so I don't feel bad about telling you to go on YouTube. But seeing this in 4K, seeing that makeup on Larry Drake like in HD, it looks so good, and I need this in like a well-produced package that has everything all nice and cleaned up, where I can see all these cool costumes, see all the puppetry with the Crypt Keeper. Because just seeing, what the guys managed to accomplish on YouTube is astounding. Like it's mind blowing how good this looks, how good this series still looks. But yeah, I love this one mainly just because of I love a good chase. It's cat and mouse. It's a scary Santa Claus. I love Christmas horror. It's just fun.
Nice. The actress's name for the movie is Joan Collins. I was kicking myself for not remembering that. But yeah, she's really, really good in that. All right, let's move on, Jody.
All right, and then dig that cat. He's real gone. In this one, Joey Pants is a man who meets I think we can safely call him a mad scientist, who finds a gland in a cat that you can take out and transplant into a human, apparently very easily, and give that human 9 lives, which means that very literally he shoots him in the head as soon as he comes back the first time. And he is able to not only live again, he's got like this healing factor. Like he's an X-Man at this point, and he can heal up from his injuries. And what do you do when you can die and heal up from it? You join the circus and make a lot of money dying on stage. And so he goes through a series of being in a tank and drowning. He gets electrocuted. He gets shot with an arrow through the heart. Eventually, his girlfriend, who is also there in the circus, decides all this money is just too tempting. It's a Tales from the Crypt trope, and she stabs him to death. And so he has to do one more final performance. And he's killed off the doctor earlier, and that was another death. Multiple deaths throughout this. But he's got one more left, and he gets in a coffin, and they bury him underground. He will run out of air. But while he's laying there, he realizes that the cat that he got the gland from died initially, and that was one death he was not accounting for. He was only counting his own deaths. And so this was not one more death available. This was his final life, and he is now buried underground as the air goes away, realizing I shouldn't have done this one more time. Just fun stuff.
All right, Mondo.
Yeah, this is a really great one. And like I said, it's the first time that we get a real great taste of where the series is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And to the end with Joey Pants getting his comeuppance for his discretions, and the really cool, like, I love the imagery around the circus or around those kind of sideshows. I think it just lends itself perfectly to horror. I mean, everything from, you go all the way back to Something Wicked This Way Comes with the traveling salesman.
Or Freak.
Freaks.
It definitely has some of those tropes in it, which are totally fine. And then cats kind of suck. But I still don't advocate violence against animals ever. I have 2 cats; they're well taken care of. But this whole episode was just, I thought it was great. Like, I enjoyed it more. All 3 of these episodes, I can say, I enjoyed more from the second viewing, a more recent viewing. So I've seen them in the past, but 20 years ago. Where to see them more recently after we just watched them, I think I had a new appreciation for them, especially when you know where the series went come season 7. Seeing these early episodes really kind of gave me the warm and fuzzies, and this one was kind of the nice and I can't think of any words right now. It was a nice nightcap after whatever.
After a good meal.
eloquent speech here on Dads from the Crypt.
Yeah,
It's been a long week.
Yeah. I know. I love this episode, Mono. Just like you said, the festival is something that this show goes back to, the carnival kind of theme over and over again. Probably more than just about any other real distinct setting. And that just kind of really goes back to the EC, like the time where that was like when these comics were coming out. I think carnivals was like the macabre, place to go. It was a really big cultural factor. Nightmare Alley, and again, is another thing that came to mind. Joey Pants is awesome in this, and I love the narrative structure of him being in the coffin, kind of recounting to us. It's just so well done, and again, I really would love to see that and really well cleaned up, like all the blacks, and then with the candlelight. That looks so good in 4K. And then there's such a great cast around him too. We got Robert Wolf as the Barker. He's just really, really fun, and it's weird because this could easily take place again in the 1940s, or it could be taking place now, because at one point they mentioned like HBO rights or something like that.
Yeah. No, I watched this and I caught more of that this time. I have no idea when this is set. Like at one point, he says something like "no credit cards," and then a guy's there with like a backwards baseball cap. This episode is set outside of time.
Yeah. It's a Richard Donner episode, so you're in for good times. I love the way the camera is just kind of swerving around through the circus. And I almost feel like, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but they're also kind of talking about consumers, especially of media, and like how we're on, like, we all just want our death and our entertainment, because a lot of the deaths, they're trying to get people to be participants. They're selling off tickets to shoot at them. And there's always my favorite one of the father who's trying to get his son to shoot a crossbow at him. I just love their interaction. And I don't know if that's like a Goonies reference. It looks like he's wearing a shirt very much like the kid from Goonies was, another Richard Donner project. It's just so much fun. So it's definitely the most campy of the 3. But that's great. We need our camp too with our frights. And again, another really good twist ending, and you're just like, damn, that would be trapped on the ground with, even if people could hear you, they know that you're part of an act, so they probably would just ignore you anyways.
It was by far the most like playful of the original 3, and I feel like the 3 of them together really represent like the best of Tales from the Crypt. Like, there are some really dark moments, there's some scary stuff with the Santa Claus, and then you got that playfulness that happens in an episode like this, where you mix death and silliness all together, and that's Tales from the Crypt.
The campiness they've always done is very smart because it doesn't feel like they're ever trying to insult you. It
Mhm.
feels like they're winking at you,
Right.
like saying you're in on this with us, and that's where camp works. I think where camp doesn't work is when you have movies where it's forced.
Right.
And it feels like it's laughing at you, the viewer, for enjoying this, as opposed to this one where it's like winking at you and saying, "Come on in, you're part of the family, enjoy this."
Yeah, it's you're not insulting your audience; you're letting them in on the joke.
Yeah. Well, so I just got a new Blu-ray in the mail that Mondo introduced me to. The movie Crabs with an exclamation point at the end of it.
Dude, it's so good.
It's
Oh,
so
one second,
good. It's so silly and campy, but it feels like the whole time, like it knows it's silly and campy. It knows what it's doing, and it's having fun with it. And it's Tales from the Crypt. It's if you enjoy silly campy stuff, you'll enjoy Crabs with an exclamation point.
Oh,
Yes. That's why I always told Jason 10 works so well, because it feels campy, but it feels like you're in on the joke. Like, I said it before, but I imagine the cast just sitting around laughing at these scenes and having a good time making it. And you feel that in the movie. Is it a great movie? Yes, but it's you know what? I was gonna say no, but you know what? Fuck, it's a great movie because I enjoy it, and at the end I had a big smile on my face. So
it's very enjoyable. Also, I finally got around to seeing Frogman last week.
I liked Frogman
I
a
haven't
lot.
watched that one. I need to watch that one because
it was fun. I really enjoyed it.
There have been some good found footage films over the past 10 years, and this is, in my opinion, one of the better ones.
Yeah.
The way they're very creative with how they do it, and not to give too much away, but basically it follows a kid who saw Frogman when he was younger, and now he's out to prove that he exists as he's older now and doesn't have a job, and you can tell this one event consumed his entire life into fanaticism. And I thought I think it's really well done. And
it's almost like a low budget Nope in a way.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see that. That's a stretch.
At least some of those themes, at least.
Well, and since we cover anthologies on here, let's bring it back. The director of Frogman directed a segment in Scare Package. Anthony Cousins. It's the one where the killer who won't die, so they're like feeding him to the they're cutting him up and putting him in the wood chipper and all. That's the same director as Frogman.
Joey Pants was also in. He was in one of the best movies ever made. You can guess which one that one was.
I know which one you're thinking about.
He's also in my opinion, the worst movie ever made. Made. I'm dead serious when I say this. Ready to Rumble. The movie about pro wrestling that came out in like the 2000s. Because never have I ever watched a movie which felt like it was made for the pro wrestling audience, but all it did was shit on us for enjoying the product they're trying to present. Like it just felt. I walked out of that movie just feeling bad. I just hated life. So
hey, but if you're a Joy Pants fan, you can go and watch Chucky the series.
Yes,
and there's an episode with him and Gina Gershon and Jennifer Tilly all back on screen together. I love that show.
He's in Memento, which is an awesome movie. He's been in all. He's in Roswell, I guess.
I was watching The Matrix the other day. I always forget he's in that.
And he was great in The Sopranos. Awesome in The Sopranos.
Yeah. Okay. Any final thoughts on that segment?
I mean, I just can't to hit so well on all three segments out the gate. And it's why we love this show. That you put talented people in front of and behind the camera on all this. You've got great directors, great actors, great scripts, and that's why Tales from the Crypt succeeded.
Yeah, it's almost like, why would you put all three of these amazing episodes out all the same night? You only have 6 episodes in the first season, so it's only four weeks worth of content. But if you're sitting there, you're going to be a fan for life.
Yeah.
After watching these
it feels like proof of concept, kind of like, we're going to make Tales from the Crypt. Let us show you how good it can be. And here's these 3 episodes.
Right. And then they just show them in syndication like over and over and over again all over HBO. They just we have these 25, 28-minute bits we can just put in between movies and whatnot.
Yeah.
And just, get you coming back for more. I can't imagine a better thing than sitting down that night and just okay, what's this new show about?
I always try to imagine what it was like for the original audience, sitting in the theater the first time Jason showed up on screen, and then, the same thing, sitting at your house, turning on HBO, saying, "Okay, I remember those comic books," and then seeing these 3 episodes.
Yeah.
What a night, man! That had to be
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. I know we did this a couple after. I think after we did the first 3 episodes, we did a kind of a ranking, or at least like which was our favorites. So I thought we could revisit that. If I remember correctly, I put "Dig That Cat" as my favorite, and both of you selected "And All Through the House."
Mm-hmm.
Do we have? I'm going to change mine to "The Man Who Was Death." I don't know if I'm just having even more of a sweet spot for William Sadler now, or just hit me in just the right way, but it's just perfection. So I'm gonna put that as my favorite of the 3.
Yeah, man, that's hard because they're all so well done. Like, I still have a really soft spot for "And All Through the House" just because I love Christmas horror. I love Larry Drake's Scary Santa Claus. But if I, man, "The Man Who Was Death" is really, really close there. It's really hard. I think it's between those 2, and I'm not sure which one is the better one for me. I'll probably watch "All Through the House" more often just because it's got that Christmas theme, but man, they're both fantastic episodes.
Mondo.
Yeah, I still think I'd go with, All Through the House as my favorite, and it's not a knock on either of the other ones. With Man Who Was Death second, and then Dig That Cat third. But I think they're all great episodes. It's just I love Larry Drake. I love how that whole thing was done. I love William Sadler. I love Joey Pants. All 3 are very well done. But much like Jody, you give me some Christmas horror, and you give me Larry Drake, and you give me the femme fatale scream queen, and I'm a happy guy.
Yeah.
This is just a thought exercise. We're not like etching any of this into stone, or no one can argue with us or anything.
They can argue.
I like the right thing.
I think if we were doing numbers on all these, all 3 of them would be 5 out of 5 for me at this point.
Easy.
So
that's why it's like, what's the point in rating them?
Yeah, in ranking them, it's just at that point personal preference of I like Christmas stuff.
All right. Well, Mondo, give us your song of the day.
I was going to go back to the well and do Creator again, so I did it for our very first episode, but I didn't want to go that route. I want to highlight an artist that I saw at Maryland Death Fest, so I've been a fan of them from Canada, called Spectral Wound. Just a fantastic black metal band that doesn't take themselves too seriously. Like, everything they do kind of has a little bit of tongue-in-cheek aesthetic to it, much like a favorite series of ours. So I figured this kind of fit in. And they have a new album coming out on August 23rd called Songs of Blood and Mire. But right now, on all your favorite streaming platforms, you can catch the first single off that record. It's called Aristocratic Suicidal Black Metal. It's fucking good. So,
The Aristocrats.
Did you ever watch that documentary?
Oh, I love that documentary.
That's so
It's
good.
so ridiculous. I love it, though.
I took a girl on the first date there. Well, that's one barometer.
Was that Kiera?
No.
Okay. just wonder.
I was, I was thinking about that movie the other day, and I just Googled the Bob Saget segment. And
that's exactly what I think of every time.
Like, oh, it's so good.
It's if anybody hasn't seen it out there, it's just a bunch of comedians talking about the history of the joke and then giving their renditions of it, and it's great because everyone just does it a little bit differently, or sometimes drastically differently, and it makes it's a delivery. It's a delivery that matters.
Yeah. It's just like a solo. It's just like a free form joke that you can just do it however you want. Everyone does it differently. Their style.
Yeah, if you're invited to some summer barbecue because it's summertime, definitely bust this joke out in front of everyone.
Gather all
children.
The kids around.
Yeah, go over fantastic.
Old people, children. I'm going to tell you a joke.
Family walks into intelligence office.
We should do a Patreon episode, 10-minute episode where we each just do our own rendition of the Aristocrats.
Oh my god! No, definitely a Patreon because
I'll lock that thing behind a paywall.
I would do my best to keep it as G-rated as possible. I'm not even joking about that. I think sometimes If you guys watch the Bob Saget roast,
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald gets up there and is telling the lamest dad jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just great because I'm like, people are watching it, and you're thinking like, what the fuck is he doing? And then you see the comedians just dying.
Mhm.
They're laughing
Right.
so much, and at the end he goes, "You can't out dirty the master."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like he went exact opposite, and that was really cool. I love it.
Yeah. All right, Jody, you got some horror news for us.
All right. Yes, I do. And the first one is very relatable to us because there's been some news about the new revival of EC Comics. So the first episode or the first issue is coming out in July. The new series is called Epitaphs from the Abyss instead of Tales from the Crypt. But what we found out is there are new hosts for these new issues. And I had mixed feelings at first. There is no Crypt Keeper. There's no Old Witch. There's no Vault Keeper. But I think I'm okay. Like they existed in their time. And this is a new rendition, and so new hosts, I feel like, are probably appropriate. The new hosts we have are the Gravedigger, the Tormentor, and the Grim Inquisitor. And if you go to search that up, or you go to Bloody Disgusting and look up the news, they're really cool looking. They're definitely in the spirit of the old DC comics. But in July, we get Epitaphs from the Abyss, and in August, we get Cruel Universe as the first two titles to come out. I'm happy for more EC, and I feel like even with this new characters, they're keeping the spirit of the original.
And like you said, I think if they tried to make a new Crypt Keeper style character,
Right.
everyone all that would happen is everyone would be comparing them either the EC Comics version or the HBO version. So by going with completely different characters, I think it's a really smart way. And Jason, you have an interview, right, about this new series?
Yeah, I interviewed Hunter Garrison, who's the publisher for Omni, which is doing the EC, which is putting these out. He hinted at this, but he couldn't say anything. But what he talked a lot about is like, yeah, they could have just slapped on the name Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt, and just did their thing. But he really wanted it to be of EC Comics, but not replicating EC Comics. Right. He wanted it to be something fresh and original that reflected our times, but still had those sensibilities. So this is totally, if they were going to do new horror hosts, this is exactly what I was going to expect. And I love the style. It's so cool.
Yeah, and they're not direct ripoffs of EC. They're just very much inspired by it, which that's how it should be. And I'm looking forward to these, and I'll be pre-ordering them. Most of your local comic shops probably already have them pre-ordered.
You could probably get a pull list together for them.
And also on top of that, we haven't even seen like how they're going to speak and all that stuff. So you can't judge too quickly because we haven't actually seen them quote in action yet.
Yeah, all I can say is the drawings of them look really cool, and they look very in theme with the original EC comic characters.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk releases. The biggest one by far that I missed tonight so that I could record this podcast and another.
Man, Jody, after you mentioned it was a screening tonight, I was looking up to see if there's one. Everything here is at 7 p.m. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yep, that's exactly what. Yeah,
I was thinking it's Vegas. Maybe we'll get a 10 p.m. midnight screening. Nope.
I always check on Thursdays to see what's coming out, and I saw that there was nothing coming out this Thursday. It's 4th of July. Yeah. So I just assumed there was no Thursday preview. It's a Wednesday preview. The movie I'm talking about is Maxine. Maxine is officially released into the world. The official release date is this Friday. I can't wait for this movie. It looks so good. Okay, so the trilogy itself, fantastic. X, fantastic. Pearl, fantastic. But then to hear that this, has a lot of inspiration from things like the New York Ripper.
It looks straight. It looks straight New York Ripper, which if anyone knows me, I'm a fucking Fulci fanatic, and I am so excited for it. That
trashy New York of the 80s that I never got to experience. I've been to New York. It's very cleaned up now, but there is some nostalgia for New York I've never been to. That's what this movie is set in, or not New York, L.A. It's same thing. Both of them in the 80s were scary towns, at least as far as the movie versions of them, and this is back to that. And I can't wait to see this movie. I'm gonna have to see it this weekend.
Real fast. There's a book I think you'll enjoy, Jody. called Beasts of 42nd Street by Preston Farrell.
Yeah, Joe was reading that last year at CFF, and he left it in the hotel room.
Oh, cool.
And I just gave it back to him last week.
Oh, did you read it?
I hadn't read it yet, but I need to give it back to him.
I think that's right up your alley, Jody. It's fun because they really encapsulate that grittiness of that time period.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rewatched X a couple nights ago just to kind of get refreshed, and goddamn, that movie's good.
That's so good.
Well, and what's kind of funny is, like I always said, X definitely had a Lucio Fulci inspiration to it by the way the shots are done, by the atmosphere, and someone gets a fucking eye put out. So
Right.
If there's one thing Fulci hated, it was people with eyes. He wanted to get rid of those eyes. And then Pearl was such a different movie from X, but great in its own right. So I'm really excited to see this. And
me too.
For anybody out there who's not a big, was it Ty West or T West?
Ty West.
Ty West. If you're not a big Ty West fan, these are the least Ty West movies ever.
Oh yeah.
As in,
see, I'm a fan. I love House of the Devil. I love The Sacrament. But if you hated those movies, I think these movies are different enough that you can still get into them.
Oh, definitely. They're definitely a completely different feel.
Yeah. But not in the way that like he's sold out or one commercial or anything to please any other audience. It's definitely still his voice. He's just, switching things up a bit.
No, it's like the fact that we have these 3 movies, like these are weird artier movies, like a 70s porn, like set Texas Chainsaw Massacre horror, a weird 1940s, like semi, like musical Technicolor, like he's doing weird stuff, and these movies are getting released, and I love it. I love that it's his vision, his and Mia Goth's.
Right. I'm wondering if we're going to get any full frontal in this movie, but I think like Kid Cudi already said the bar is so high.
Or so low.
Would you want to be the guy who followed up that scene? No.
Maybe if it's Kevin Bacon.
That'd be a long day for that person.
All right, other releases worth talking about. A Quiet Place Day 1 just came out, which I also haven't seen, but I'm hearing great things about. Like I'm hearing it's by far the best of the series, and I like the other 2 entries. The first one is one of my favorite horror movie in a theater experiences was watching the first Quiet Place, because I listened to the teenagers slowly get quieter and quieter, and then suddenly we can't chew our popcorn too loud. But I've heard this new one is actually like probably the best of the series so far.
Interesting, because
I'm very excited.
I thought the first one was fantastic.
Yeah.
The second one I thought was good. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it had its moments. But I have no interest in revisiting this world. But I'll probably wait for it to come out on VOD. But I'm definitely gonna watch it and give it a go.
It's funny because they were showing so many commercials, the same ones over and over and over and over again. It's almost like to its detriment. But then now the buzz has actually been very positive. Yeah, so
I haven't heard a negative review yet from people who I trust.
Oh, I have. But we'll talk about that off air.
Okay. All right, another one worth mentioning, just because I just came back from CFF. The movie that was in CFF this year is already getting some limited theatrical release. The Verdelak, which is based on the same story that the Verdelak segment from Black Sabbath. Is it Black Sabbath or the
Black Sabbath?
Okay,
dude, yeah. Black Sabbath. Look.
Yeah, perfect. So it's based on the same story, Tolstoy. Joe watched this at CFF. I missed it at CFF. It's a French movie. It involves puppetry. I won't get into any more detail than that. If you can get on this movie's weird wavelength, though, I think it's enjoyable. It's got a limited release. This is not the kind of movie that goes out, wide.
No, it's a movie I really wanted to see.
Yeah, me too.
It wasn't on virtual.
It was my lunchtime, so I missed it because I had to eat.
Dude, and you missed Lola last year. Which, have you seen that yet?
I haven't yet. Yeah, I need to.
I think, Jody, I think it's something that you'd really enjoy.
I'm sure I would.
You also need to watch, and I'm going to fucking say this till I'm blue in the face, the last movie ever made.
I know. Another one on my list.
I bought it on iTunes because I couldn't find it anywhere else or on physical media yet. Lola is on physical media.
Yeah,
I believe Severin Films, maybe.
Mhm.
I can't remember who put it out, but I have a copy of it. I haven't watched it yet. But they do a making of and how they did the scenes, and in my opinion, one of the most creative movies I've seen in the past 5 years.
Nice. Well, I know from what Joe told me, Vordelak is definitely, it's not mainstream. It's a weird movie, but if you live in one of those cities where you can see these limited releases, check it out. If not, I'm assuming since it's in theaters, it'll probably be out for the wider audience before too long.
One of the reasons why everyone listening should go to Chattanooga Film Festival, watching a movie with Joe Ferry is an experience. And I mean it in the best way possible.
Yeah.
I feel like I know a little bit about movies, but I know like 2% compared to what Joe Ferry knows. And the fact that you're like watching a movie with a historian that's not just, he's not smarmily trying to tell you facts. He's enthusiastic and excited to share his knowledge with you. And it's infectious. And I love Joe.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Joe's a great guy.
All right,
a couple other movies with.
A couple other releases worth mentioning. Is Shauna Night Shyamalan's feature debut, The Watchers, is available at home now.
That's a movie I didn't hear a single good review about.
I don't know anything about it. I just know it's it's out.
Yeah.
Also, though, one that Jason just covered on this exact podcast, In a Violent Nature, is out as well on VOD. Again, another one that is very high on my list. I might have actually watch it after we finish recording tonight. Friday the 13th through the art house lens.
Shit, I might watch it again because my wife had to leave and didn't get to finish it. And
go ahead.
It does have one of my favorite kills in the history of slasher film.
Yeah,
nice.
I was worried about watching it a second time, so I watched it a second time once it hit VOD because I saw it in the theater, and I was worried that like the gimmick would have worn off, the quote gimmick. And surprisingly, it didn't. It brought me more into it, kind of knowing having my expectations calibrated. I actually enjoyed it and picked up more the second time, which I was really surprised by.
And Jody, it definitely also throws some love at My Bloody Valentine.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, no, this is made for me. I need to watch it. All right, other release type information. These are not new movies, but Walmart has teamed up with Bloody Disgusting. And they have added an entire like horror fan shop into a lot of Walmarts. I bought a couple figures there the other day. I got a t-shirt. Like, it's really cool. Like, it's legit horror merch in Walmart. And they also are doing a line of steelbooks. So this is coming out August 20th. So let me just tell you the list of movies. And then let me think about the fact that this is Walmart. Our friend Tommy, listener, good friend on Slack.
He's been on the podcast before.
Yeah. Mentioned that Walmart used to be a place that you avoided as a teenager because at Walmart you could only buy edited CDs. Like if you wanted to buy an explicit lyric CD, you had to actually go to a different store because Walmart always edited their music.
Real fast, what's funny is that the Kmart by my house when I was like 13, that's where I bought my first Merciful Fate CD. That's where I bought Bruce Dickinson's Chemical Wedding.
They know their audience.
Yeah, but it was one of those things where it's like I never had that experience because I was into underground music and we had great record stores here in Vegas back in the day, and we still have some good ones today, but we had Odyssey Records that was open 24 hours. So you would go at midnight to buy the new release that was coming on Thursday night. It's coming out that Friday or Tuesday. Back then, Tuesday was a music release day.
Right.
And so one time I went there Tuesday morning at midnight, late Monday night, obviously. And I bought Slayer's new album, God Hates Us All. Then you know what happened that Tuesday morning?
You threw it out.
Nope. The World Trade Center got destroyed.
Oh.
So that album came out on that day. And then I was working at Target. I just graduated high school. So I was working at Target and we had to pull every copy of it. We rarely got metal in, but we had to pull every copy of it off the shelves. And we also had to pull off Dream Theater. I think it was called Scenes from a Memory. It was a live album, but it had the New York skyline with a fire behind it. And we had to pull that off too. And I still remember that day because you could hear a pin drop in the store because people were scared. And I'm not saying that as a joke. I'm just saying, like, if you live through that, you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah. I remember Target was also really notorious for censoring lyrics.
But Target would put edited on the label. I think Walmart didn't, and that was the difference.
Okay.
Yeah, well, at Walmart, the only difference in buying one was it would not have the explicit lyrics label on there. So instead, you just buy it not realizing it was edited until you got home with it.
Target would have the regular version and then the edited version, and the edited version will say edited in parentheses.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Walmart was the place you didn't go because it was only edited stuff. But let me tell you about this exclusive set of steelbooks. They're releasing Wolf Creek, Leatherface, You're Next, Sinister, Hannibal, Texas Chainsaw, and I Spit on Your Grave in an exclusive Walmart steelbook that I will buy.
Also, Return of the Living Dead is coming out in an exclusive Walmart steelbook, and it looks fucking killer. And these are all 4K, right, Jody?
Oh, yeah. As everybody else out there is stopping their physical media sales, I do have to hand it to Walmart for actually going, hey, there's still a market, and we're going to tap into it. So, hey, as long as I can find my cool stuff, with a 10-minute drive, I think I'm all right.
I was at Walmart over the weekend, and I walked by and I saw Skinamarink on 4K Blu-ray. I'm like, yeah.
I was there today, and everything was behind a fucking lock, so I didn't buy anything, so I got so annoyed. Can I give you guys a cool Wolf Creek story, though?
Yeah, sure.
So when that movie came out in 2005, as a horror nerd, I was super excited to see it. So I was working at Target at the time. I walked a mile and a half. No, a Sharper Image. I don't remember where. But I walked a mile and a half to Suncoast Casino to go watch it after work. I went to go pay, and they did not take debit cards.
Oh, no.
So for all you younger listeners out there was a time when they didn't take debit cards. They only took cash in the movie theater. So I had $5 in my pocket, which was not enough for a movie. So I walked to a nickel video poker machine and figured, fuck it, I'll just get a few free drinks and I'll sit here and just gamble for a little bit. I put one nickel in and won $12, and I walked over and bought my movie ticket and saw Wolf Creek, and that's a disturbing movie.
Oh yeah, man.
There was a family in front of me with young kids, and this is dad parenting advice here. One of the children you could just hear them, because I could hear them talking to their parents and not being a dick. They're like, I want to leave. I don't want to, I don't want to see this. And if your kid says that to you in a movie, fucking leave. You can figure it out again. It's fine. Don't traumatize your children because you spent $10.
Yeah. All right. But you mentioned Return of the Living Dead. Some cool news. Somebody has found 8 minutes of additional footage for Return of the Living Dead Part 3.
Oh, the best one.
Never before seen, not even available on the uncut version of it. 8 more minutes of footage from Brian Usna's Return of the Living Dead 3, a movie that, as far as my brain remembers it, is about BDSM and zombies at the same time.
That movie watch that movie at a young age. It definitely shaped my adulthood. Maybe not for the better, but I have fun. So it's fun.
But yeah, so maybe we can hope to see more unseen Return of the Living Dead 3 footage. I'm down.
I don't know if you know this, but the actress that played the female lead in Return of the Living Dead 3 played Mistress Heather on CSI Las Vegas.
That makes sense. After that movie, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I'm a fan.
All right.
Put it that way.
One more tiny piece of news here. There is a trailer that got released a couple days ago for a new Hellboy movie, and I didn't even realize
I didn't see that.
A new Hellboy. So it's not any of the people who have played Hellboy in the past. There's actually very little Hellboy in the trailer. So the movie is called Hellboy: The Crooked Man. You can look it up on YouTube. Like, the makeup looks really good. I don't know how this actor is going to do because it shows very little of him. I do know that it was co-written by Mike Mignola, who created Hellboy, and Christopher Golden, who is a good horror author. So I am hopeful. I love Hellboy. I didn't love the newest one, the David Harbour one. Those other ones, the Guillermo del Toro ones, just some of my favorite movies. I love them so much. And so I'm hopeful for more good Hellboy out of this.
This is our 150th episodes. We're just going to go long. It's fine, Jason. Just
sure.
with it.
No, that's good.
But did you ever hear the story about how Guillermo del Toro got Ron Perlman as Hellboy? They wanted somebody else. They did not want Ron Perlman. And he basically threatened to quit the movie if he couldn't get Ron Perlman.
That's a good move because Ron Perlman is so good in that movie.
I mean, if you guys were fans of Sons of Anarchy, which definitely jumped the shark at some point, Ron Perlman was one of the best things in that show. I love that show, but Ron Perlman was so good in that. And also, City of Lost Children. He learned
I was about
French.
to say that one. Yeah.
What was the Spanish? I can't remember if it was Spanish or French movie.
French.
He learned French just to be in that movie, and he's so good in it. Like fucking Ron
City
Perlman.
of Lost
Awesome.
Children. It was one of those movies that I ran across on like IFC late at night or something like that. You know, it's very Indian French, and man, I love it. I love that movie. It's one of the ones on my wall of VHSs behind me. It's City of the Lost Children. Ron Perlman makes everything better.
If you haven't seen it, Moonwalkers. Have you seen that?
Don't think so.
With Ron Perlman? It's batshit crazy, and they call it a comedy film, and it's about like figuring out the moon landing hoax.
Okay.
He's a CIA guy who has to find Stanley Kubrick and convince him to fake the moon landing, and it gets batshit crazy. I think you'd enjoy that.
Going back to the trailer though, as someone who's I've read a good handful of Hellboy comics and whatnot, I like that. It looks like they're going back to the source, like very literal source. But some of the effects, like outside of the Hellboy makeup, looked fine. We didn't really see much of him talking or interacting, moving around. But there's like this one shot of like a serpent wrapping around a woman being lifted off the ground, and it did not look good. I think people are kind of shitting on it for that.
Yeah,
So
I'm hoping because it's a trailer, maybe some of it's not quite at its final form.
Yeah.
That I feel like there are elements that could potentially work or could potentially bomb with this. So I'm choosing to be hopeful just because I love Hellboy. So, and
sometimes when a creator is wrapped up in it, he can be a little too precious about his work.
That is true.
So, I mean, but then we have Clive Barker, who knocks it out of the park with Hellraiser and a ton of other things. So sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. So we'll see. But the reaction was not very kind online.
I still love that when the new Hellraiser came out on Hulu. People were like, "Oh, it's woke Hellraiser," and I'm like, "Dude, like, do you not know who Clive Barker is? Did you not read the source material where the character is very gender fluid? Like, they don't,
right?
But whatever.
And also not an actual person. Like, it's
it's like fucking who cares? Like, fucking find somebody else to be offended by, you snowflakes."
But yeah, that I'm hopeful. Just because I want more Hellboy in my life. Really, I just want another. There was always supposed to be a third movie with Ron Perlman and Guillermo del Toro, and so there's a part of me still reaching for that Hellboy that I'll never get.
And I can't talk about Hellboy without mentioning Doug Jones.
Yes,
just God, Doug Jones is one of the most iconic character actors, I guess I'd say, in the history of film. Like
that's one of the few movies where he does his own voice, and in part 2.
I was going to say, part 1 was David Hyde Pierce, I think.
Yeah, part 1, David Hyde Pierce, but in part 2, Doug Jones actually voiced the character as well.
Nice.
Why do I know the name David Hyde Pierce?
Frasier.
Huh?
The younger brother in Frasier.
Oh, yep, I know who he is.
Wet Hot American Summer also.
Yeah.
Dude, if you Google him, the first thing that pops up is him with the fucking, like, I don't know, man. I can't take this seriously. He's got a crazy-ass mustache. And I never want to see that image again.
Jody, speaking of Wet Hot American Summer and David Hyde Pierce, so my previous job title had associate in it.
Okay.
And so for those that I haven't told you, I'm getting a new job, so I'm getting a whole new title and everything. But my last job had the word associate in it.
Ooh, and details.
At least once a day, I heard someone saying, "What does it?" He's talking about being an associate professor, and someone asked him, "What does associate mean?" And he goes, "It means less than." That quote has been stuck in my head for 5 years.
There is a reason why when we went on Al Cat's podcast and talk about our desert island movies, Wet Hot American Summer was on my list because it is a near perfect comedy.
Yeah, that I need to watch that. That's gonna go on my to watch list just for fun.
Yeah. Go watch the Netflix series
That was
too.
good.
Like,
Yeah.
First
was
Day
good.
at Camp and Last Day. They're really great.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that movie probably since it came out. So I should
Well,
revisit.
So
the
you
fun
you
thing
were
is
the
they
one.
use all the same actors, but it's 15 years later, and they're still playing high schoolers and kids and everything, and it's just silly and
It's so
stupid
silly.
in all the best ways.
It's like an 80s horror movie where everyone's between the ages of 23 and 37, but
Yeah,
they're all in high school.
Jody, are you gonna leave off one of the best pieces of news that came out today?
What I miss? I've been on vacation. I might have missed something.
The Jaws Lego set.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Dude.
there's a really cool Jaws
Oh.
Lego set that just got announced. It looks
Man.
amazing.
So I just built my wife. When we were in Idaho, we went to a Lego store, and I think I'm gonna drop $460 on that Mordor playset.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit! I saw it in person. Like it was there's definitely some some things were getting stiff when I was I saw that. Not what you think. But
Sauron's one eye.
holy shit, dude! Like that's Jason. I don't know if you have a name for your penis, but I think you just nailed it.
One-eyed Sauron.
Yeah, I have some.
Do you have a name for your penis?
Not going there.
That means you do, and you don't want to say what it is.
150 episodes. Still doing this.
Nope.
I'll go first. I go. God damn it! I go by Vlad the Impaler.
Not Vlad the Poker.
No, I thought of this when I was like in high school and thought it was like the most clever thing ever. And you want to know what? I'm still sticking with it. Fucking 23 years later. But my wife wanted the New York skyline because when her company's based out of New York, and when she went there, she kind of fell in love with the city. So I bought the lighting kit for it as well. Looks cool as fuck. One of the most frustrating things I've ever done in my life, to the point where I was like, I'm just going to destroy this set and melt it. That's how upset I was. But the end result is fantastic. So I highly recommend lighting kits for your Legos if you want to go that route.
Oh, so I'm scrolling through to make sure I hadn't missed anything else, and I did miss something that I didn't even know I missed. But this is only for Jason because this movie that premiered at it didn't premiere. It was at CFF this year. It's got a limited release only in New York City and Los Angeles, so Jason might be able to make it over there. The name of the movie is Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person, and it is fantastic.
That's one of the ones that I really was bummed.
It was
that
in
wasn't
person
on
only,
Control.
but it's a French movie, and whatever you think about French movie, where I tend to think of the French as very serious, and
But they had that series of French extremism where they went they go
right.
over
But,
the top too.
Well,
serious or heavy or whatever. This movie is hilarious. Like every line had me dying in the theater, and so it looks like it's going to be getting some release sometime soon. But right now,
Is it going to Screenbox?
New York and Los Angeles. So if you're in one of those places, check it out because it is so good.
I don't know if it's the same movie, but I saw another movie with a name like that going to Screenbox.
It's so good. It's again just like a lot of things we talk about on this show. Funny. It's got horror elements, but it's got heart. It makes you feel good at the end of the day and makes you feel good to be alive as a human. So watch this. It's great. Yeah. There we go. I'm out of news. I'm making up news on the spot as we're talking right now.
All right. Well, that brings us to Dad Advice. 3 years, 150 episodes. What have we learned?
I got this. I've been thinking about this since I came back from the wedding. One of the beautiful things that's happened in our adult lives of being males. And believe me when I say this to people out there who are way more in tune with their feelings than us 40-year-old men are or were when we were younger. Love and affection for your friends was very, very frowned upon. Like, could you imagine telling your friend in high school you loved them and giving them a hug? I
had one friend who was that kind of guy, and at the time it always made me feel uncomfortable. I was like, and he's gone now. He died a couple years ago, and I wish I hadn't shied away from it.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Dads from the Crypt. But it's so at this wedding, we're all just like, I'm with these other dudes who I grew up with, and granted we grew apart because they got sent into a foster family, whatever, and we're all sitting there fucking hugging and telling each other we love each other and giving each other hugs, and it's okay. Like, men, do this. If you hug your male friends and tell them you love them, because you probably fucking do, it's great. Like, it feels good. But to extend that, one of the things I was thinking about is I don't give my child enough physical attention when it comes to giving hugs and stuff like that. I'm just not good at it. I always feel like if I try to give someone a hug, like I'm bothering them. But my child really likes hugs. They like to be hugged. They're like me. I'm a physical touch guy. Physical touch is my love language. Be it fucking Jason, like you. Jason made a face at me. I mean, I like being hugged. I like being slapped in the face too. It's fine, depending on who's doing it. But that's one of those things that happens where like your significant other does that, and then you're like, "Well, I'm into that now." That's happened to all of us. Don't act like I'm the only one.
The moment of going, "Oh shit!" Well, I guess that's a thing.
That's a thing now. Achievement unlocked on the Xbox or whatever. But what I want to bring up though is I do notice, and we probably all dealt with it too when we were younger, being a male child, you tend not to get that love that you need, especially from your parental father figure. Don't be afraid to, if you're a dad out there and you have a son or even a daughter, don't be afraid to walk up and give them a hug and tell them you love them. They need that. We all need that in our lives. And I think sometimes we think like, I don't give a shit if your kid's 17 is like, get away from me. They'll remember that in the most positive way possible. And I can honestly say at 21, my daughter's 21, that we have a better relationship than we had at any time in our lives. And part of that is because we have that vulnerability now that we never had before. Yeah. And we're okay talking about that. And we're okay being that way. And one of my regrets when they were growing up is not doing that more when they were growing up. And so if you're a dad out there, especially with a young child, like, or even adult, whatever, hug them, tell them you love them. Doesn't matter. Like, who cares? They go, ugh. They'll trust me. It's going to go a long way. And hug your male friends and tell them you love them. The same way you would a female friend or whatever, or a relative, because it means a lot. It really does. And it feels good. It feels good to give a buddy a hug and be like, bro, I love you. Because we do. That's okay.
Well, this last weekend at CFF, I went and, met up with Joe while I was there, and our friend Allison, who's Their podcast, if you haven't listened to that. And they were there with us all weekend. And after it was all over, we were talking about the fest. We were, chatting about it. And I don't remember who said it first, but somebody was like, I really like, the best part of the fest was hanging out with you guys. I'm like, yeah, man. Like, y'all were the reason why this fest was awesome this year. Like, I love CFF as it stands, but I just want to make sure y'all knew that you were the reason why I had a great time. And just little things like that, saying those kind of things, man. Like, it means a lot. The moment I got that message, I was like, well, this is like the nicest thing that's happened to me all day. I love it.
Last year was the same thing. Like, I had a great time at Chattanooga Film Festival, but I got to hang out with Jody and Joe, who are awesome people. And that just amplifies and it's one of those things where I travel so much solo that I'm used to doing things on my own. And there's nothing like doing things with people you enjoy being around. It just makes that experience so much more exciting, so much better.
Well, just the other day on Slack, I was talking about the movie Crabs, with an exclamation point, and Mondo messaged and said, I'm glad we share the same taste in like silly bad movies. And I'm like, you know what? That's really nice. It's nice to hear that from somebody. I like it.
I like when I watch a movie. I'm like, can't recommend this to everyone, but Jody will fucking like this with me.
Yeah.
Just wait till we get to our blood sucking freaks review, Jason, and.
Can't wait.
But guys, happy 3-year anniversary.
Yeah. Wow, I just want to say though, like, I love my son. He's a great hugger. Especially kids with autism, when they hug, man, they really hug. I love it.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing because they don't hug out of necessity or not necessity, but out of like, they feel it's a societal norm and they have to hug their dad. No, they do it because they want to hug and they want to. Yeah.
Well, then there's my daughter, who I think is start trying to define herself a little more, and she's
Sure.
not so much into that, and I'm okay with that too. I still offer her to her, and tell her I love her every night.
Dude, the best part though is when they get that independence and they don't want to hold your hand anymore. There's going to be a time when they're a little bit older, maybe 10, 11, 12, where you go to cross the street and they instinctively give you their hand. And it's like one of those things where it's like, I'm gonna hold it together. I'm gonna hold it together.
All right.
But just think with all this talk, our very first piece of dad advice was about what cheese to put on your grilled cheese sandwich.
Hey, real fast.
I still stand by 100% American cheese on your grilled cheese.
But American cheese from the deli.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kraft singles, they serve their purpose, but a good American cheese from the deli.
Well, it's the best version of the American cheese for sure.
Yeah. And you want to know what? Deli bologna too. Fucking great.
Get it thick cut.
Don't buy that Oscar Mayer bullshit. Get the so Jason, you'll enjoy this. The Albertsons by my house is one of the few kosher delis in Las Vegas.
Oh, cool.
And they have like the best bologna.
I don't know if bologna is technically kosher, but
beef bologna.
It's beef bologna. Yeah.
Okay, beef bologna.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm of a salami guy. No joke there either.
I was trying to think of a way to do it and be tactful, and I just gave up because I'm like, there's no way I can make a joke here without it being just completely like, okay, let's cut this out of the show.
Hebrew National salami and eggs anytime.
Hebrew National, some good shit. Hebrew National hot dogs.
Oh, I love it.
With some keto buns.
That's exactly what I made for the kid's birthday.
The fucked up thing about keto buns are you only get 4 in a package, and it's fucking $9.
Yeah.
Fuck people with Fuck people with dietary restrictions and disease. I have a disease.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up another episode. Believe it or not. Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Where's Jason going with this? We thank you for all of our listeners who've been here, and there are some of you who've been here probably since close to day one. You're all incredibly appreciated. It's like I never thought about this podcast being a part of my life until I met our friend Matthew in Maryland Death Fest, and towards the end he goes, I never thought I'd be hanging out with one of my favorite podcasters at my favorite metal festival. And like, I'm not gonna lie, man, I had to hold back those tears. I'm not about to cry in front of a bunch of metalheads. I do have my limits, but it felt really fucking good because I think we don't realize sometimes, like, if we're making one person's life better, like if this podcast on their way to work makes them forget about their worries, like, that's worth it. It's fucking worth it.
I mean, I'm still 3 years in, kind of amazed anytime somebody's like, "Oh, well, listen to your episode about whatever. Like, it was really good." I'm like, "People listen?
Yes,
that's still amazing."
Like, oh shit, we have
blows my
listeners.
mind. Like, you actually listen. And you don't know me personally. Like, okay, so my friends listen. That's great, and I love all of you who listen, who know me. But it's really cool to find out that there are people who just listen because they want to listen. It's kind of crazy to me.
He told me he was just searching. He started watching Tales from the Crypt and goes, I wanted a podcast on this. So he searched for it. One of the first ones that popped up. He goes, I listened to you guys and loved it right away. I'm like, that's
awesome.
Very flattering. Very flattering. So thank you to all of our listeners, man. It means it really does mean a lot.
And especially our patrons, they're just the best.
Yeah.
That's like even another level of like, oh my god, people actually like care about this kind of thing.
Yeah. It's very, very heartwarming, and our Patreons are awesome, and even if they do talk some shit sometimes, they're still great people.
So we're 150 episodes in, and we promised to just continue getting woker and more offensive to snowflakes as we go for another 150 episodes.
As we head into that great election season, yes.
Hey, all I know is I won't get into politics here, but
we're not going to that.
No,
one of my work colleagues.
Nothing good to say right now.
I talked to him the day after the debate, and he goes, "Did you?" He's from Switzerland originally and lives in Florida, and he goes, "Did you watch the debate?" I was like, "Yes." He goes, "How was it? How did it make you feel?" I'm like, "I'm just fucking depressed, dude." And he goes, "That's the word I was looking for. I couldn't think of it. Depressed. Yes, it is very depressing." And I was like, "Yeah." But we'll power through, man. We'll figure like it's a human connection between all of us that gets us through this shit, and we'll figure it out.
We'll get through all this together, regardless of what happens.
Exactly.
And in the meantime, we'll talk about a bunch of dumb shit and keep y'all entertained as much as we can in the midst of the apocalypse.
Yes.
Yeah, and then just to keep things light and fun, I think for the next, at least in July, we're gonna do some staff picks, some fun movies and whatnot. And then maybe we'll catch up on a couple more anthology movies, and then we'll start another series. So, if you have any suggestions, we're always open to hearing it. So shout us out. As always, we appreciate all of our listeners. We would really appreciate if we give us a rating review on iTunes. We still haven't had any in all of 2024. So I don't know if
what the fuck,
Apple
guys?
hates
Like,
us.
what the hold on. Even if you've already reviewed us, do it again. That's how people find our podcast.
We just reviewed the same episodes of Tales from the Crypt again. You can review us again.
I like the way you think, Jody.
A little tipsy tonight.
What are you drinking tonight?
I got dragon's milk tonight. That's like 12%. That stuff's strong, and I almost never drink unless I'm recording anymore. So it gets wild sometimes.
Oh yeah, I've had 2 beers. I'm pretty buzzed. So my buddy Nate, who is the brother, one of my best friends, who's the brother of the person getting married. We were in Chicago for an Invoking Black Death Fest like 5 years ago, and even 5 years ago, we realized we're too old to be drinking the way we were drinking at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the second day, Nate's like, guys, we got to take it easy today. I'm like, yeah, we'll take it easy. So we went to the bar at the place, the venue. I think we each got Rattlers, Stiegel Rattlers. It was like 3% alcohol. Me and his buddy Jason. And then Nate goes, oh shit, you have Dragon's Milk? And orders a Dragon's Milk at like 9% alcohol. I'm like, bro, taking it easy, huh? So Dragon's Milk is good stuff.
Dragon's Milk is good stuff.
Also, again, the trailer for the Mike Vosberg documentary is out now. Please go to the Dads from the Crypt YouTube. Give it a like, subscribe, share with any friends. Really great to get a nice boost on that and get some visibility and see where we can go with that. Again, lots of really, really cool crypt related stories and stuff you've never heard before, never seen before.
I mean, he did the artwork that's sitting behind Jason right now. If you're watching this, what a great guy!
Still the coolest thing I've ever seen.
And like, I even watched it with my wife, and she has no interest in any of this stuff, and she was like, "He's a really nice guy." I just enjoy hearing him talk. So I think anyone can enjoy it on that level too. And also, don't forget to follow us at
Dads from the Crypt Talk.
Gotta get those TikTok numbers up. And with that, we thank you for listening to the 150th episode of Dads from the Crypt.
Adios.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.